Yo, what's going on, millionaires? You're listening to the Million Dollar Mind Podcast, episode 196 on the perfect goal setting blueprint for millennials. All right, so today's quote we're going to be starting off with is, the goal isn't nearly as important as the system. Winners and losers share goals. We've had this conversation numerous times over and over again, but at the end of the day, we know that the systems are what win the championships. So welcome back, millionaires. Today we are tapping in for yet another mind-blowing, impactful episode of the Million Dollar Mind Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about these 4 steps to goal setting, and this goal setting template that is going to guarantee that you are moving in the right direction and you are gaining consistent momentum in your business and your personal life. Wherever you are striving to be great in, this goal setting template is going to guarantee you movement in the right direction. But before we get into that, join us in the $1 Million Meetup every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. If you are looking for a group environment where you can ask questions about, business, about mindset hacks, about, scheduling and goal setting and all these things that will make us great, we have built out a community because this is the #1 community for entrepreneurs and self-mastery and abundance. So you can join us even more, in group every single Sunday at 7:30, where we have these weekly coaching calls where we're going over mindset hacks, we're going over physical and operational hacks, we're going over spiritual hacks and financial tips that can make you a better millionaire and a better you. All right, so let's dive into today's content. All right, millionaires, entrepreneurs, moguls, philanthropists, managers even, right? I want to encourage you to purchase my book, Lead from the Front, because it is essential if you want to learn how to be an effective leader, not just for others, but for yourself as well. Learning the tools, or the importances, I should say, of accountability, discipline. We have so many resources and tools that are in the book to help you give better feedback, give more genuine feedback, hold yourself to a higher standard and hold others to a higher standard without making them feel like you're the person that tells a lot but doesn't lead by example. And that's what the whole purpose of the book is, to lead from the front. So if you haven't already, go check out my book, Lead from the Front. You can find it on my website at www.kaispeaks.com. It'll be right there at the top. Welcome back to the $1 Million Mind Podcast, the #1 community for entrepreneurs in the world. Thanks to each and every single one of you guys. You are in the right place if you are here looking for money-making tips and tricks for living a more passionate life. So today I got to start it off with a story, right? Because some of us are horrible at goal setting. We are horrible at setting goals. And as an example, many of us start off with the year setting goals. And now as we're starting to tap in to the middle of the 4th quarter, we are in November. I want you all to look back at your goals, and I want you to see how many of those goals have you actually gave a fighting chance to accomplish, right? How many of those goals are even close to being accomplished? Or how many of those goals were actually accomplishable due to your, your bandwidth, the current vehicle that you're using, whether it's a job, whether it's a self-employed opportunity, right? Are you in the right vehicle to even have accomplished any one of those goals that you've written down? And I have a few friends that always start off with great intentions, right? Strong goals like, yeah, I'm going to get X, Y, Z done. But they easily get sidetracked and never end up accomplishing the goal or accomplishing anything except for a few things here and there. And this leads to a lot of frustration just from experience. And I see a lot of my friends who fall victim to this. And I see a lot of associates who fall victim to this. A lot of my clients and mentees who have fell victim to this before joining our communities and things like that, right? And with that frustration also comes the feeling of falling behind and failing, right? So I want you to take one of my clients, Linda, right? And Linda's not her real name, but I'm gonna protect our identity. So we're gonna call her Linda for today, right? Linda had a goal of losing 30 pounds. She started off strong, as most people do, as we just said, right? Started off strong, very strong intentions, very purposeful, very action oriented. And then eventually Linda fell off. And the result ended up being that she didn't lose the weight that she wanted to lose. In fact, despite all the work she put in on the first, 3-4 weeks, She might have lost some weight, but she ended up breaking even because she fell out of those habits. She started going back to old habits like doing a lot of snacking, all these different things. So ultimately, what happened? Let's take a look at what happened. And this is going to be the reason why I wanted to bring this content to you guys today, because what happened to Linda is what happens to so many of us on a daily, weekly, annual basis, right? Many of us are like Linda, believe it or not. And though the goal may be different, the reasons for not accomplishing the goal are the same. Whether the goal was to lose weight, whether the goal was to save a certain amount of money, whether the goal was to, start that business or start this business, the goals may be different, but the reasoning is always the same. So Linda set goals, started off very strong, but then a lot of us rarely finish and see the projects through. And this lack of goal setting skill leads to missed opportunities. It leads to a lot of wasted potential. And what I mean by wasted potential, I mean like you applying yourself in this direction towards achieving this goal, but the focus is not there. So that energy that you're putting into that goal is being wasted because your focus is on so many other different things. So you're wasting your potential and you're wasting that energy that can be applied to the goal, right? And then we left with that feeling of disappointment and that feeling of frustration. And guys, if you have ever felt like that has been you, I want you to keep listening, because we got some action steps on how you can take the next step for that to not be you anymore, and for you to be able to consistently make small actionable changes and steps towards your goals, right? I started this framework, I would say about 90 to 100. It's definitely been over a quarter, right? And since I started this template and started applying this template on a daily basis, guys, I'm seeing so many results as far as I set a goal and that goal gets accomplished within 12 weeks tops. And it's a really good feeling knowing that you have this list of goals that you want to accomplish, and having a system that allows you to keep track of those goals, progress, track your goals, and really be able to see that goal getting checked off, instead of you looking at it 3 months from now, 6 months from now, and be like, oh shit, I forgot about this goal. I haven't even, damn, what happened, right? And that feeling of just disappointment and letting yourself down, you are going to be able to say no more with these action steps if you start to apply them today. So the first one is write down the goal for the next 2 quarters. Write down your goals for the next 2 quarters. So that's going to be the next 12 to 24 weeks, the next 3 to 6 months, right? For the next 3 to 6 months, I want you to write down your goals. Write down what those goals are. And before you even do that, I want you to write down a list of goals, right? And then look at those goals and then identify which fit in that 3-month period and which fit in that 6-month period. So once you identify what fits in the 3-month period to what fits in the 6-month period, now you are ready for step 2. Now, after you write those goals down, now you're going to prioritize which of these goals you can work on this week. So you're obviously going to look at the goals for this quarter, right? And the goals for next quarter, you're just going to keep them in your back pocket. You're going to have them in your, in your notes, in your notebook, journal, wherever you're going to keep these goals. Are you keeping it tucked in your back pocket? But now you want to focus on this quarter. And once you have this quarter, you're looking at these goals, and now you want to see, okay, which of these goals can I focus on this week? Yes, this week, right? We're not wasting no time. You have 12 weeks to accomplish these goals that you've written down for this quarter. And this is, ideal if you start in the beginning of the quarter. We halfway through the quarter, so you ideally have about the next 6. So you got 6 weeks to do it, right? So what can you focus on this week? Next, step number 3 is every evening you're going to revisit this template, which means every night you're going to look at this template, because what you're going to do now is you're going to write down daily tasks that will help you check off each item by the end of the week. So you are going to have a weekly template, and you're going to say, which of these goals can I work on this week? And then you're going to break that down, and you're going to be like, what action steps do I have to do to get this goal done? So let's say the goal is to have a book ready for publish, right? And granted, trying to publish a book in a week is insane. But let's just say, or no, let's just say that's the goal for the month, right? That's the goal for the month, is to get a new book published. So some steps on this week is I'm going to write down maybe, spend 2 hours a day writing, find a graphic designer to create the cover, the title, come up with a title. This step number 3. Come up with a publisher, figure out a price, figure out a target audience. These are all things, right? And so when you revisit this list every evening, you're going to be looking at, okay, I got about 4 to 5 items that I need to get done this week. Now I need to see which of these items am I going to focus on today or the next day, right? So if I'm looking at my list, it's Sunday evening, I'm going to say, okay, what can I work on starting tomorrow? Well, I already know that I got to write 2 hours a day, because I said 2 hours a day. So that's going to be every day, right? So I'm writing that down for Monday's checklist, right? 2 hours, write for at least 2 hours. Then let's see what else I can get done. I can find me a graphic designer. So let's write there, graphic designer for cover art. And then number 3 is come up with title. So I'm gonna have 3 to-dos, and as it pertains to the one goal, I might have others, right? As it pertains to the goal of getting the book published this month, I have 3 daily to-dos that I'm gonna follow up for Monday. And then Monday night, I'm gonna look at the list and I'm gonna do the same thing. Tuesday night, I'm gonna look at the list and I'm gonna do the same thing. Every evening, you should be looking at this list and figuring out how you can plan your day. And each day you need to be coming up with the action steps that it takes to get those weekly goals checked off, because the more weekly goals you check off, the more likely it is for you to check off the monthly goal. Makes sense? So this matrix, I like to call it a matrix. And the reason why I like to call it the draining matrix is because you are literally draining this audacious goal into small, actionable daily tasks that will guarantee that you are moving in the right direction to make sure that that goal gets done and that goal gets checked off. So this matrix is going to guarantee that you're moving in the right direction on a consistent, keyword, consistent basis. Also ensures that you're going to have clear and attainable goals. Looking at this every day gives you clarity. It gives you the focus that you need. And it makes sure that you're not focusing on the wrong things. Guys, it is so impossible for you to have this list and then to not think of other things that you should be doing. We have our brains are always wired to think about what we can be doing, what we want to do, da 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 da. What I want to encourage you, what I want to urge you to not do is write it down and add it to your to-dos for this week. Write it down for next week's goals. That's going to be the pro tip of the day. But again, this is going to be the only way and the best way to prevent yourself from becoming overwhelmed by your goals and quitting before you even reach them. So think about the last goal that you set for yourself. What did that look like? Did you give yourself a due date? Was it vague or was it very specific? Did you give yourself a time limit that you had to accomplish that goal? Were they super easily accessible? Like, did you even know what the goal was? Like, once you wrote it down, where did you put that list? Were you able to see it every single day or at least on a weekly basis? So was it accessible? And then lastly, was that goal productive? Was it aligned with the current things that you're doing in the current, place that you want to be in? Right. So if you want to be an actor, but then you had this goal to, let's say, buy a fishing rod and get into fishing, that may not be productive towards what you really are striving to be. So look at, again, are the goals that you're setting productive and make sense with your identity and your desired income or your desired outcome? So pro tip, like I said, is don't add new items to your list for this week. Just go ahead and anything you think of, especially if you set your goals on Sunday. If it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever day after Sunday, and you think, oh, I forgot, I need to do this, go ahead, add it to next week, unless it's absolutely urgent, unless it has to be done by a certain day. And if that goal that you're writing down, or that task has an expiration date that is before next Sunday, then that's the exception. But if it doesn't, add it straight to the next week. Do yourself that favor. So as always, guys, I'm super thankful to have you all part of the show week in, week out. I just gave y'all some gas, so now I'm very curious to see on how far and how fast you're going to get to your destination now that you have a full tank. So if that being the case, just remember to keep focused, build momentum, and drive results so you can live abundantly. I'm Kai Speaks. I'm out.